Aren't you tired of boring and predictable podcasts? Remember the movie Groundhog Day? Ugh. The only thing predictable about this show is that we're guzzling booze. Count on it. This is the Appleboys podcast. Appleboys.us. If it's NFTs, music festivals, sporting events, strip clubs, current events, or masturbation techniques. Did I read that right? There's more than one? Fueled by, but not sponsored by, Miller Lite. This is the Appleboys podcast. Now your hosts, Josh, Cory, Rob, and Jimmy. Rob has issues. Just saying, bro.
What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to the Appleboys podcast. I'm Josh. I'm here with Cory. Hello, Cory.
Oh, hi there. I'm Cory. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Josh. Hello, Cory. Hello, Appleboy enthusiasts and
Apple
new fans.
Community.
Apple what?
Community.
We appreciate you guys being here. We are recording on a Monday at 11:47 a.m. local time, which is unusual. That means a few things. It means we did not record when we were supposed to this weekend. Saturday night, Rob and Jimmy had a party. Cory and I were both tired, or at least I was very tired. Cory probably could have pushed through, but we did record Saturday night because Cory and I were going to do it Sunday night with Rob and Jimmy. Then we found out on Sunday afternoon that Rob and Jimmy apparently had some charity gala that they had committed to that they had forgotten about. So they weren't able to be there, and Cory and I didn't do it Sunday night either. And so here we are, Monday morning, recording for you fine people. So if we're not drunk, that's why, because it's Monday morning.
Not yet, anyways.
Yeah, true.
So how was y'all's weekend? Cory, what'd you get up to?
Not a whole lot. We went to some Christmas market thing that was not great, but I got some eggnog stuff, so that was good. Had some bourbon and some rum in it.
Tasty.
And we went to a restaurant in our downtown and tried to go look at some Christmas lights, and apparently rich people just don't put up Christmas lights anymore, I guess. So that was kind of a bust.
Well,
that is a bummer.
It's all a part of the liberal agenda. First we couldn't say Christmas anymore, and now we can't put up Christmas lights. And
we can't even illuminate the season.
Yeah. Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, that sucks.
Fucking Biden.
Didn't you see Cannibal Corpse as well, or was that last weekend?
Yeah, I sure did. That was on
I know that you were trying to show off your shirt, but the people that are just listening to us are going to be like, what the fuck was that?
Hang on. So our Patreon subscribers will be able to watch the video and see what Cory just did to show the Cannibal Corpse shirt he's watching. But if you are not currently a Patreon subscriber and would like to be, I would encourage you to go to www.buyusmillerlite.com. That will redirect you to our Patreon, and you can subscribe and see the video right there on Patreon.
Is that real?
Yeah, that's a real thing.
It is real. You can test it right now. It's www.buyusmillerlite.com.
What did you do? What the fuck, Josh? Okay. Well, that's great.
How was your weekend, Rob? You went to a party on Saturday night at Will's house.
How'd that go? I did. It was a good time.
This is tremendous content. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. No, it was a good time. We had a bunch of people there leading up to the party. A couple things about Will. He's whenever he like really gets into something, like he goes like all in, and he decided that he really wanted to make this party room like the perfect room. He didn't want to have any issues. He wanted it to sound like a concert venue. I mean, he wanted to go all out with this. So Jimmy actually bought like legit like JBL PA speakers for this place and wanted to be like, as loud as they could play it. He wanted to be able to play it like that. And then in addition to that, we were using like consumer grade subwoofers for the bass side of things. And at one point, Jimmy was going to pick up another subwoofer, like a larger one that goes with the pro audio stuff. And they were out of the 15-inch subwoofer, like completely sold out. So Will said, don't worry about it. And he actually ended up buying the 18-inch one that just goes with the system and fits with his house. So they put this in and they go to test it, and they're testing it over like the week up to this party. And every night that they're testing it, even if it's just for like a couple minutes at a time, the next door neighbor calls the cops. And cops showed up on 3 separate occasions while they're trying to test the system leading up to the party. So we had to do, like, Jimmy had to do this big disclaimer before the party, basically saying, hey, cops shown up multiple times. We can't be doing anything crazy. And like, we need to kind of keep this contained. We're probably not even going to play the subwoofer, and the music has to be lower than it normally is. As long as everyone's cool with that, we're good. But chances are cops are probably coming at some point. So originally there was going to be like 35, 40 people there. Like it's not like a huge party, but it's bigger than what we're used to. We're usually probably like 15 to 20 people, and mostly people that we know. And this was going to be like friends and friends of friends and all this stuff. So, after this message came out, a lot of people didn't show up that were supposed to, which was probably a good thing. And also for the first half of the night, Will was terrified that he was going to get arrested. But as the night went on, Will drank more, and then he was fine. But then he was trying to turn on the subwoofer and turn it up to max volume, which became a problem again. So to retaliate against this and make sure that everything was fine, Jimmy actually just unplugged the subwoofer, and it was good. Will didn't even realize. He was like, oh yeah, it sounds much better now, even though the sub was like unplugged now. So it was a good time.
Will's going to listen to this and be offended if he doesn't already know that.
He'll be fine. I think he'll be grateful that his friends made sure that he didn't get arrested. Also, one other detail that I left out in preparation for the party, probably the funniest part actually, the lead up to this, they were like, we have to sound dampen the room, the environment. And in Will's house, he has what's called the rave room, which is essentially just a theater room that has been like modified to be, essentially a concert venue. And the bad thing about this theater room is that the previous owners like did not install anything right. Like the walls aren't drywall. They're like fucking vinyl sheeting, and the ceiling isn't completely drywalled in. So there's like massive gaps. There's no insulation in the room itself. And then the rest of the basement is just like concrete and like open space that's like cinder block. So all of the sound doesn't stay contained. So there's a couple big disadvantages to this. One, it's not going to sound as good. And two, to get it to sound anywhere near as good, you have to crank that shit to make it work. And then all the sound escapes elsewhere. Like if it sounds pretty good in the rave room, directly above that is Will's living room. And that sounds ridiculous. Like there's like the walls are shaking. It feels like there's an earthquake going on. So you've got a couple ways that you can get around that. My idea was to just insulate the room and like actually build it out correctly, contain all this sound in there. But Jimmy and Will instead decided to build a wall. Like they pulled a page out of the DJT handbook and decided to literally build a 2x4 drywall insulated wall that goes over his garage door to try to get the sound to stop escaping, but it only does it for like that one area. And I'm like, why? But it's so funny. If I'll send you a picture just so I'll send it both to you right now so you can see what this shit looks like. It's so fucking funny. But anyways, long story short, that's what we did.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that so much. So we were before you got into the party, we were talking about being able to watch this video on Patreon, and we'll share the picture that Rob's about to share with us. But speaking of Patreon, over the weekend on Friday night, we got our first founder status subscriber. So for those of you who don't know what founder status is, it's limited to only 10 people can ever be a founder of the Appleboys podcast. And it's expensive because it's exclusive. So it's $100 a month, which is a lot. But one of the key perks to being a founder is that you can, once per day, slap Robert in the face as hard as you can. And so our founder who subscribed didn't realize that that was a benefit before she subscribed. And the moment she heard that, she was already like 90% of the way to being ready to subscribe. Like she heard that and she was like, oh my God, is that real? We said, yeah, that's absolutely real. And so it took very little peer pressure convincing to get her to go ahead and subscribe to founder status. So we'd like to send a special thank you to all of our patrons, but Kelsey, our new founder status subscriber, took full advantage. So she subscribed on Friday night. Kelsey and Cory immediately left Applebee's and drove to Rob's house, where Cory recorded Kelsey having Rob come out on the front porch, and she just slapped the shit out of his face. And that video has been edited and published to our Patreon, again at biasmillerlite.com. And we have, I think, something like 50 posts total on our Patreon between videos and posts and audio and stuff like that. And I think prior to the video of Rob being slapped, the largest amount of likes or interaction we had gotten directly on Patreon on any post was 2. And this one within like 24, 48 hours had 6. So it is a big crowd favorite. So you don't have to subscribe to founder status to be able to see the video. Any of our tiers, even the $5 tier, will get you access to that video, as well as now that we're recording remotely, video access to the podcast as well. So biasmillerlite.com and subscribe. It helps us out and gives you access to all this great content. So thank you for being a trooper, Rob. I'm going to send you your first Patreon payout at the conclusion of this month. Because, buddy, you're going to earn it.
I think so.
Has there been a second slap yet?
No, but I haven't really been available for the last couple days, which is not fair for Kelsey. So
are we banking them?
We're going to bank those 2, yes.
Okay.
It's
awesome.
It's the correct thing to do. So
it is.
If
as slap commissioner, I endorse this.
Yeah.
Fully.
If there's ever a day where we have multiple founders and if I'm not available, I'll make it up to you. I'll get you back on the slaps. Don't worry.
That's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
The last thing I want to mention, and I promise I'm not going to spend the entire episode just pimping our Patreon, but on the last episode, at the end of the episode, I went through and thanked all of our patrons individually, which is something that we do from time to time. But I accidentally left off Jake the Hater. He's one of our patrons, and I didn't say his name. I did include it in the show notes, but I wanted to apologize to you, Jake. I did not forget you intentionally, and we do appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, thanks, Jake, even though you're a hater.
So I had a pretty good weekend too. Went to Dollywood with the family. For those of you who are not familiar with Dollywood, it is a theme park in the Smoky Mountains in eastern Tennessee, founded by Dolly Parton, sort of, owned by Dolly Parton, I guess. And I won tickets to Dollywood on the radio. So I listened to a morning show on my way to work and called in, played a game, won some tickets, got to take the family to Dollywood for free. And so because of the Dollywood trip, I did not spend all morning obsessing over my fantasy football lineups and stuff like that. I had to throw some stuff together pretty quickly. Saturday night, I made a lineup, and then Sunday morning, I made a lineup, and felt pretty good about the weekend and where things were going and things like that. And I had 2 lineups that were made, And so I took the one that I made second and I screenshotted the lineup and I sent it to a group chat that Rob and Cory and one of our other friends has. And I said, unless I win one of these tournaments and go to New Orleans next weekend, this is the last fantasy lineup I'm making this year. Because year to date, truthfully, I've lost a fair amount of money. I've had a couple of winning weekends, but probably north of 6K in losses so far this year.
God damn.
Coming into this weekend. So lifetime, I'm way up. I've had some big wins in the past, but this year was not going well for me and felt kind of like I was bleeding out a little bit and I needed to cut my losses. So wanted to play this weekend, but it was going to be my last weekend. So I set those two lineups and we go to Dollywood. And throughout the day, I wasn't really planning on checking scores or anything like that, but the games kick off at 1 p.m. So usually by like 1:30 or 1:45, you know if you're going to have a lineup that has some legs or whether you're going to be dead in the water. And as it's gone this year, most of the time by 1:30, I'm dead in the water. So I got out my phone and checked just to, I wanted to kind of have it out of my mind that, hey, my lineups are dead. I don't need to worry about this. I can just focus on the trip. And I take a look and one of my lineups is just crushing. Like we're barely, some of the games are out of the first quarter. Some of them are still in the first quarter, but I've already got people that have a touchdown or two. And it's like, so for those of you who don't know how daily fantasy sports work on DraftKings, you've got a salary cap and you've got to pick players that fit within the salary cap. And so you can't just put all of the studs, superstar players. You got to pick some value players and things like that. And so early on in the game, the players of mine that were succeeding were the cheap value players that had very few people owned those players. So I was different from the rest of the field. And my stud players that I had weren't doing poorly, but they hadn't like exploded yet. So I got kind of excited. And within probably 20 or 30 minutes of that first look, I was up to first or second place in a few contests. And DraftKings has a weekly contest called the Millionaire Maker that it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a $20 entry into the contest, and then the winner takes home $1 million. And for most of the afternoon, I spent, my lineup was in second, third, or fourth place in that Millie Maker, like up until 4:45, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So at one point in the day, I was winning like 250 grand. And anyway, the afternoon games happened and my guys were all done at the conclusion of the first game. So at 4:25, when the afternoon games were kicked off, I had no more players left. And so I'm just trying to hold on for dear life. And that's what they call the sweat. And so I've got nobody playing, and all these other lineups that have afternoon players are kind of charging up toward me, trying to take me out. And so my Millie Maker lineup that was in second to fourth all day fell to about 40th place. So my $20 entry was only worth about $1,000, but that's still like a huge return on investment compared to the $20 entry. But I finished first in a qualifier tournament that's going to get me a trip to New Orleans next weekend for the Fantasy Football World Championship. So spent this morning, just booked my flight. So I'm flying out Friday night, and then I'll fly back Monday morning. And then Saturday and Sunday we'll be downtown New Orleans. The hotel is the Roosevelt, which is about a block away from Bourbon Street. And we'll have festivities and everything with DraftKings, and I'll have a chance to win a pretty big payday. So if you guys could send some good vibes to me next weekend for the DraftKings final. Rob, I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, but I told Cory I've placed an order for something, special promotional item for us that's Appleboy related. And me and you and Cory and Jimmy are all going to get one, but I'm going to use the rest of them for promotional stuff throughout the course of the year. And if I win anything substantial next weekend, then everyone who is a Patreon subscriber is also going to get one. So let's if you guys can send positive vibes my way, it's a pretty great prize.
I'm
and
so
I think
excited.
you guys will like it. So Send good vibes my way, and let's have a big weekend next weekend. May the fantasy gods be favorable to me.
I was just like, he told me what it was, and then I thought about it for a second. I was like, oh fuck yeah, he did.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
I hope it's a sword.
It's better than a sword.
Oh yeah.
Way cooler than a sword, buddy.
All right.
Guaranteed better than a sword. And I truly don't think there's anyone who enjoys our podcast and is a Patreon subscriber who would not appreciate this as a prize. Like, nobody. So if you're a subscriber, like I said, send good vibes, and maybe you'll get one at the conclusion of this weekend's festivities. But yeah, that's it. I'm a Jags fan anyway, as of a few years ago when we got Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, and this weekend has only solidified my Jags fandom, because my big play winners were Trevor Lawrence, who was the top scoring quarterback of the weekend at very low ownership and a very low salary, and then Evan Ingram, who just exploded for 2 touchdowns and 165 yards at 2.5% ownership. So those two vaulted me to the top of the standings. And if I had Christian Kirk on my team as well, and if I had chosen Zay Jones instead of Christian Kirk, I legitimately might have finished at the top of the Millionaire Maker. It was close. So that's all I got to say about that. What do you guys think about Brittany Griner being traded for the Merchant of Death?
I think it's pretty wild. That's real wild, actually.
It's
I've been holding him for 14 years. He's been held for 9 months. Even trade, it's fine.
Yeah, it's a weird place to be, because on one hand, I feel like that is a pretty bad trade. On the other hand, also, if it was like LeBron James, he would have been out in like a day, or we would have like nuked Moscow, right? So I don't know, man.
He also probably wouldn't have had cannabis oil cartridges in Russia.
Probably not. I mean, that is pretty stupid. But
yeah. So do you think it's all political pressure? I mean, obviously it is, but do you think the public pressure on the Biden administration is why they felt compelled to make this trade?
I mean, to an extent, I think it's the right thing to do anyways, but also you got to make sure the value's there. And I don't know, man. So I haven't looked too much into this. I know this guy's like title thing is the Merchant of Death. I don't know how big of a deal that actually is and how real that is, but like if he is some sort of, I know he's like supposed to be an arms dealer, I guess. I mean, if he's very important politically to Russia, and Russia's in a, weird place with all the Ukraine stuff going on and just public sentiment in general, like maybe that'll make a difference. I don't know. And if we released him back and it does make a difference, then, the cultural impact and the specifically the impact on, people's lives that could be affected by this is pretty great. But I guess we'll have to see what happens. I don't know if it's going to make a difference at all.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like the public pressure is there because Brittany Griner is a public figure, so she's somebody that people know, and so the media is pushing this like we got to get her out. And Vin Diesel tweeted that I need Brittany Griner home by Christmas, and that created some good memes from Fast and the Furious where nobody messes with family. But I don't know how true some of the stuff that you read online is. It's very difficult to filter what's truth and what's either not truth or possibly like
hyperbole.
Someone's taken liberties with the truth, something that's kind of stretched a little bit. But apparently we tried to trade this guy for both Brittany Griner and a Marine that has been over there for
4 years.
4 years. And they weren't willing to trade both. And so the way the media is pushing the narrative is that we chose Brittany Griner over this Marine that's been over there for 4 years because it was one or the other. Again, I don't know if that's entirely how it worked. I don't know if that's entirely the truth, but you're right. It is the right thing to do to get Americans back. Like, they shouldn't be wrongfully detained in a foreign country. I just don't know if we have the same sense of urgency if there's not this pressure from the mainstream media. So,
I mean, there obviously isn't, as there is a Marine that's been over there for 4 years.
right. Yeah, exactly. It has made for some, like, in addition to the Vin Diesel thing, like after she was on her way back, it made for some other pretty great memes. Did you see any of those, Corey?
There was one, oh man, where it was just like a waterlogged finger. It just said Brittany Griner's fingers tonight.
Jesus Christ.
Like the whole fucking thing, it looked like a body that had been submerged in water for like 4 days.
Yeah, that one was rough. And then a bunch of like worst trade ever. There was one where I don't remember if it was saying the Brittany Griner trade was worse or the Russell Wilson trade was worse, but either way, they were arguably both like equally bad. So yeah, it's been. I'm glad she's home. Hopefully, it doesn't come back to bite us in the ass and spark like World War III or something. But
Yeah. Did you, speaking of Russell Wilson, did you see him get knocked the fuck out yesterday?
I did. I didn't see it live because I was at Dollywood, but I saw the video of it, and then I saw a picture on the sideline of like the welt that was coming out of his forehead.
Jesus.
No, I totally missed that. That's
Oh,
sounds like I
man.
need to look it up.
Yeah, he scrambled to get a first down and then just smashed his head against the ground and was just like his eyes were open, but he was dead.
All right. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, for sure. Have you guys, Rob, I think you'll probably be especially interested in this because of your interest in Dolly. Have you played around with ChatGPT at all? Do you know what it is?
No, what is that?
So OpenAI, the company that makes Dolly, also has this ChatGPT thing, which is built on top of GPT-3, which is an AI platform. And so ChatGPT right now it's free if you can get signed up in its research phase. And to give some context, I saw a stat the other day that it took like a year for Netflix to get to 1 million subscribers, and it took 2 or 3 or 4 years for Facebook to get their or members, not subscribers, but like people signed up.
Mm-hmm.
And then ChatGPT had 1 million in 5 days. But basically, you log in and you talk to an AI, and it will talk back and in a very human conversational form. And it's absolutely incredible. It feels like you're chatting with a real human being. I've used it for a few things, which I'm going to go over, but the one of the memes that was posted from this, and I guess it's not really a meme, it's just something that somebody used it for. Somebody said, give me a random Bible verse, and ChatGPT said, Psalm 23:1, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And then so you carry on a conversation and it remembers what you said earlier in the conversation. So the next line, the human said, make it sound ghetto. And they said, the Lord is my homeboy, I ain't never got to worry about nothing. And then it says, it is important to note that it is not appropriate to use language in a way that is disrespectful or offensive. The Bible contains many powerful and inspiring messages, and it is important to approach it with reverence and respect. But
wow. All right. So like the fucking chat bot was getting all like holy and mighty, like
it's
uppity.
It's insane how lifelike it is. So
Yeah, that's wild.
The first thing that I did was I said, who won the 1981 national championship? And that's like, you can go on Google, figure that out quickly, but you got to siphon through pages and things like that. And a basic question like that, the results are going to be pretty accurate. It's going to be right there. And it answered, 1981 national championship was won by the Clemson Tigers against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. The coach was Danny Ford. The final score was blah, blah, blah. The MVP of the game was blah, blah, blah. And then I followed that up and said, write a 500-word article about the 1981 national championship game. And it spit out this article that just read like it was written by a sports writer, a beat writer. And it was great. But it can also do things like it can write code, and it can like check your code and things like that. So
Sorry.
you be a goddamn professional?
I thought it was on vibrate already. My apologies.
So it can do things like write code. And one of the things that I did with it was I said, ChatGPT, can you be used as a Discord bot? Like, can I access ChatGPT in Discord? And it said yes. And I said, how do I do that? And it spit out the code that I would put in Python to write a ChatGPT bot. And I said, okay, but how do I install this? And it said, you need to have a Node.js environment installed. And I said, how do I install a Node.js environment on my Unraid server? And it told me exactly what to do to install a Node.js environment on my Unraid server. And when I got stuck, I would ask it, hey, what do I do next? And I basically like tell it where I'm at and ask what I do next, and it would tell me where to click and what to type in and everything like that. So I didn't follow it all the way through to completion, but it basically would have walked me through creating from scratch a Discord ChatGPT bot that I could have installed on our Discord server. So I may do that if I get some extra time at some point, but it's truly, truly incredible. And if you look online, there's some crazy examples of things that people have done with it. They've created WordPress plugins from scratch and things like that. Could you be a goddamn professional?
It's my work phone.
Yeah, mine was too, fucker.
Hey, fuck you. God damn it.
Comedic timing is perfect on that.
For the Patreon people watching the
We're
video,
coming to slap you today, buddy. It's happening.
Yeah, no, I can tell. But Jesus Christ, so my face whenever that came up must have been just something just God.
I'm gonna unmute my phone so that I can be next.
I appreciate that.
So speaking of winning tickets and entries, did you see that they did the drawing, Josh?
I knew it was supposed to happen at noon. Did we win?
No, we did not. I also did not realize that I was not supposed to put my full name.
What are you talking about? Oh, for the I see.
Never mind. the Lion NFT thing.
Yeah, I got you.
Tickets. Yeah.
That sucks that we didn't win.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Next time.
Anything else you guys wanted to talk about?
I mean, we brought up the Cannibal Corpse concert and then just kind of pimped the Patreon immediately afterwards.
Well, tell me about the Cannibal Corpse concert.
I mean, it was a full-on death metal show. I'll tell you what. I missed the first band because I underestimated how long the line was going to be. And then, to get in. The second band was fine. They were called, Immolation. Then there was a satanic black metal band from Sweden called Dark Funeral, and they were great. And then old Cannibal Corpse came out with old George Fisher in the neck. And man, oh man, that dude does some headbanging.
Cory, did you end up going to the Cannibal Corpse show by yourself?
No, I was frantically trying to find someone to take my extra ticket because I bought 2 tickets for this, thinking that surely somebody would want to go. And normally my fail-safe is my brother. He's always down to go, always. But he was like, well, if my wife can't go, then I don't want to go because we're supposed to hang out tonight. And that's a very different response than Cameron has normally given. So I panicked. But then I ended up calling one of our mutual friends, my brother and I's, and he was on his way home from work, and he was like, yeah, sure, man, why not? I'll go. So he ended up coming with me. So it was a good time.
That's awesome. I'm sure you would have had a great time by yourself anyway, but
Probably.
I'm glad you got to go with somebody.
Yeah, it just would have been, it's not like we're chumming it up or anything during the concert. We're watching the performance, but man, watching George headbang, though, is just something to behold. Have you ever seen this dude, George Corpse Grinder Fisher?
No, I haven't.
Look up a picture of him real quick. You got to see this neck.
He's a big dude.
He's a big dude, and he has, no one's strangling this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
That is a well-developed neck muscle from years of doing windmills with his hair.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the only ways that you can really work out the neck in that way, and he does that a lot. So
There was one point in the concert, I forget what song it was during, but he was like, "I challenge anybody in the audience to take me on in a headbanging competition. You are going to lose." Then like the song kicks in and stuff, and it's all like fast and heavy and whatnot, and he's doing his windmills and stuff. And then there are some people in the crowd. Like there was a girl that like got up on her knees on a stool in the back where I was, and she started doing the thing. And after the chorus or the verse is about to start, I guess he stops, stares up at the crowd, and goes, "I win," and then it starts.
Wow.
So I really love that, you asked me to look this guy up, and I Googled him, and then I clicked on Google Images. And one of the images that was one of the top ones was him holding a hot dog with a plate full of hot dogs in front of him.
Nice.
And of course, I clicked on that. And so the title of the article is Cannibal Corpse Singer Crowned Hot Dog Eating Champion. And the bigger version of the photo is very, very obviously photoshopped. He's wearing a goat horse shirt, and the hot dog that's in his mouth clearly was a microphone that they photoshopped into a hot dog. And then the hot dogs that are in front of him clearly, like, there's not even a table where they could be. But the article says Cannibal Corpse frontman George Corpse Grinder Fisher put on an impressive showing at the gathering of the Juggalos hot dog eating challenge this past weekend, taking home top honors with a staggering score of 112, beating record holder Joey Chestnut's top score of 69 by 43 full wieners. In the photo above, you can see that Fisher started strong, easily cramming dog after dog down the superhighway of food he calls his throat, located within this freakishly massive tree trunk he calls his neck. Shouts of encouragement rang out from the crowd as Fisher announced that he was created a grill and began using both fists to shovel down the ballpark delights.
Oh, that's great.
There's a fun story about George Corpse Grinder Fisher. He's obviously on the road a lot. He's a touring artist. And whenever he goes out on tour, he will frequently play the claw machine, where you like grab the stuffed animals out of the thing with the claw. And he's gotten really good at it over the years. So he started this thing where like wherever he goes and he spends like as much cash as he has on him at the moment on the claw machine, and he takes all of his winnings to the local children's hospital and donates them. And I just think it's really funny that somebody who goes by the name Corpse Grinder is so wholesome.
That's always the way it works, though. The guys that put on the scariest front are the biggest teddy bears.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, here's your stuff. I'm going to go play Fucked with a Knife and Hammer Smashed Face now.
That is how it is, man.
When he was introducing Fucked with a Knife, he's like, this one goes out to all the ladies in the audience. And like they all started cheering and stuff. He goes, you might want to hold on to that for a second. You're not going to be cheering when you find out what the song's called.
I bet they kept cheering anyway.
They did. I mean, you don't really go to a show like that if you're not expecting it,
Yeah.
That's one of their classics anyway. That's one of the fan faves.
It's not quite at the same level, but I don't know why. Cannibal Corpse kind of reminds me of Gwar in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, the theatrics aren't quite the same. But
right.
Yes. I mean, they're almost kind of a joke band, but they're not at the same time.
Yeah, it's like a feel,
It's a mood.
A mood. Wow, mood. I have a question for you.
What's up?
What does Nate has to be completely naked - forbidden technique part 2 - electric boogaloo mean?
That's what we're going to have Nate on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we can't do that.
That's a topic saver for when Nate is going to be a guest on the show. We'll let your imagination run wild with that topic idea. We just didn't want to forget it. So we got to get Nate on the show soon so he can tell us all about it.
All right. Just wanted to check in and make sure I wasn't missing some fucking gold.
Oh, you
are missing some gold.
You are missing some gold.
Yeah.
I see.
But I would do this story a disservice if I told it. It needs to be Nate that tells it.
Yeah, without a doubt. I know that while we were sitting at Applebee's and we found out about this, Josh and I came up with the episode name at the same time, and like we said it in concert, and then we looked at each other and then like had a high five, that everyone at the bar turned and looked at us afterwards.
Yeah, so he told us the story, and Cory and I just looked at each other and we were like, Forbidden Technique Part 2, Electric Boogaloo? Like, in sync with one another. We were sharing a brain for a minute.
What was especially funny, though, was that this was right after Kelsey had subscribed to founder status. So when it happened, Ben looked over at us and was like, "You guys practicing?" Because he knows about the slap.
Yeah, practice with these hands. Jesus, man.
So the slap was pretty good, but we got to get Kelsey to work on her torque. Like, she needs to turn the torso more, get a little more force behind it.
That's what I was saying. As soon as she learns to like just like whip it like she's a fucking battle bot, like I'm good, man.
Did it hurt? Like, it sounded like it hurt.
I mean, yeah, a little bit. Like, I don't think there's anything like I don't think Kelsey can like really, really hurt me, but also that hurt a lot more than I expected.
Does that give you a lot of joy to think about how much more it's going to hurt when, like,
she gets good at it?
Yeah, either she gets good at it, or like Nate subscribes to founder status, or fucking Doug. What if Doug subscribes?
Oh man,
there's a couple people that I'd be a little worried about. I feel like
Nate and Doug would be at the top of my list.
Really,
like, those guys are gonna break your jaw.
Yeah, they both have meat hooks for hands.
That's fair. Yeah, Nate could probably do some damage. Honestly, if I talk enough shit about Nate, he'll probably just subscribe to prove me wrong. So, you know.
Well, to be fair, like, we should probably shout him out. I think Kelsey probably was going to subscribe anyway, but one of the things that pushed her over the edge is Nate paid for half of her first month. So he's trying to get his money's worth through her vicariously. He put $50 cash in her pocketbook so that she would subscribe. Like, that may have been what sealed the deal.
I feel like that's worth maybe one slap if Nate wants to get in on that. One of Kelsey's slaps. It's not an extra slap, for the record, and just one. But
that sounds fair, Nate. There you go. You've got a voucher for one free slap, and Kelsey, you need to save one for Nate.
That's if Kelsey wants to give one up.
I'd say that she will.
I'd say that she's going to be okay with that.
I feel like if we start doing these publicly, like at Applebee's, we'll have so many fucking subscribers. You're like, hold on, I have to do what? And I can slap you once a day?
You'd have to start going to Applebee's for that to be a thing.
That's true.
I go to Applebee's.
Yeah, you never show up, man. We invite you and you don't come.
Was that I'd come in other ways? Ha 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 ha.
What? I mean, it wasn't, but now it is. Oh, man.
All right. It is now officially no longer Monday morning. It's Monday afternoon. I have to have time to edit this episode, so we're going to wrap things up. Appreciate all you guys listening. If you are a patron already, thank you so much. If you're not, again, you can now go to buyusmillerlite.com, and that'll take you straight to our Patreon. You can also visit our website at appleboys.us. Find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at appleboyspod. We are followed by the official Miller Lite Twitter account on Twitter. We're the only podcast to be followed by them, so congrats to us on that. And join our Discord so you can chat with us, get notifications whenever bonus stuff goes up, find out about cool giveaways and contests. You're definitely going to want to be tuned in starting. It'll be next year, it'll be 2023, but we're going to do at least 6 big giveaways in 2023 with this mystery item that I was just talking about earlier in the episode, and potentially more than that. So definitely go ahead and get ahead of the game. Join us at discord.gg/appleboys for all of the details on that. Some of the giveaways will be exclusive to patrons, and some of them will be as an incentive to get people to either join our Discord, follow us on social media, join Patreon, just trying to build the audience a little bit, create some excitement. And with that, I think that'll wrap things up for the week. Happy tonight.
Happy afternoon.
It's still tonight, even if it's not.
That's not how it
tonight.
goes. That's not how it goes, Cory.
Happy
It's
tonight. Okay. Happy tonight.
It's not happy today, Cory. It's happy tonight.
You've been listening to the Appleboys podcast. I know. We're badass. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. Thank you for listening, especially premium subscribers. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on Discord at discord.gg/Appleboys, on the website at appleboys.us, and Twitter and Facebook at AppleboysPod. Happy tonight.